The galaxy had a habit of forgetting things that stayed quiet for too long. Empires rose and fell on cycles measured in millennia, and memory itself became a strategic resource. The Ketheri Dominion remembered its victories clearly, carved into crystal archives and sung in the low harmonic chants of their historians. They remembered the civilizations they had conquered, catalogued neatly as extinct, assimilated, or irrelevant. They remembered the wars that still mattered. Humans did not. Humans were something else. In the Council records, humanity was listed as mythic species 4271b, not extinct, never confirmed, but relegated to legend. A footnote. A curiosity from an older age when the stars were younger and hyperspace lanes were unstable and half the galaxy was still mapping itself. The legends were inconsistent, which was why no one trusted them. Some said humans were brilliant engineers who could turn scrap into weapons that outperformed battleship-grade technology. Others claimed they were reckless deathworlders who survived environments that would liquefy most sentient beings. A few fringe scholars insisted humans were monsters, smiling, laughing monsters who waged war with creativity rather than doctrine. But there was no evidence. No living human had been seen in over 8,000 standard cycles. So the galaxy moved on. The Ketheri Dominion certainly did. High Strategist Valerkesh stood at the center of the command amphitheater aboard the war carrier Unending Mandate. The ship was vast even by Ketheri standards, its curved armor plates layered like the scales of a god beast, glowing faintly with shield harmonics. Around him, the hollow projection of the Tarsus Reach rotated slowly, dozens of inhabited systems highlighted in crimson. Another campaign, another inevitable victory. The coalition fleets have withdrawn behind the outer jump points, reported Subcommander Ithrix, his voice steady, almost bored. They are attempting to consolidate around Tarsus Prime. Valerkesh flicked his crest in mild amusement. Predictable, they cling to symbols even when strategy demands retreat. The Council species are requesting negotiations again, Ithrix added. They offer resource tribute and limited autonomy. Valerkesh did not bother to hide his contempt. They always do. Once they realize resistance is futile, prepare the pacification protocols. Across the amphitheater, Ketheri officers moved with smooth efficiency. This was not their first domination war. The Dominion had been expanding steadily for 3,000 cycles, absorbing or annihilating any power that could not match their fleets. No one could. Not anymore. A junior sensor analyst hesitated near her station, frill twitching in nervous uncertainty. Valerkesh noticed immediately. Hesitation was rare among Ketheri-trained personnel. Speak, he commanded. High Strategist, she said carefully, we are detecting anomalous signals beyond the outer edge of the reach. Valerkesh turned slightly. Anomalous how? They are inconsistent with known propulsion signatures, no recognizable jump wake, no standard hyperspace shear. Ithrix leaned closer to the sensor display. Could it be a natural phenomenon? The analyst swallowed. The signals are organized, patterned, and accelerating. Valerkesh felt a faint stirring of interest. Show me. The hollow shifted, zooming out beyond the contested systems, into a region of space officially classified as low traffic and strategically irrelevant. There, faint points of light flickered into existence, dozens at first, then hundreds, then thousands. Valerkesh's amusement faded. These vessels are not using hyperspace, Ithrix said slowly. They are emerging directly into real space. That is impossible, Valerkesh replied automatically. No known technology allows for mass insertion without destabilizing local spacetime. Nevertheless, Ithrix said, they are doing it. The lights grew brighter, larger, distinct shapes resolved long silhouettes, angular and asymmetrical. Unlike the smooth organic curves favored by most modern species, some were colossal, dwarfing even Dominion carriers. Others were small and dense, clustered around the larger forms like predators around a leviathan. No transponder codes. No recognized hull patterns. No attempt at stealth. Just arrival. A low murmur spread through the amphitheater. Valerkesh straightened. Identify origin. The analyst shook her head. No match in any database. However, she hesitated again. There is a partial correlation with archival myth records. Valerkesh's crest flattened slightly. Which myth records? She swallowed. The human ones. Silence fell across the command deck. Ithrix let out a sharp exhalation. Humans are not real. They are pre-expansion folklore. Nevertheless, the analyst said, voice trembling now, the hull geometries match reconstructed human warship profiles at a 92% confidence level. Valercash stared at the projection. For the first time in centuries, something unfamiliar crept into his thoughts. Uncertainty. Open a channel, he ordered. Standard challenge broadcast. A communication officer complied, projecting the Dominion's formal declaration of authority into the void. It was a message that had preceded 1,000 victories, a carefully crafted blend of intimidation and inevitability. There was no response. The human fleet continued to advance. They did not form neat lines or ceremonial formations. Instead, they moved with chaotic precision, clusters shifting and realigning as if guided by an intelligence that valued adaptability over aesthetics. New readings flooded the sensors. High strategist, Ithrix said quietly, their vessels are armed, heavily. Valercash snorted, every fleet is armed. These weapons, Ithrix continued, do not correspond to any known energy or projectile systems. Some appear to be gravitational in nature, others, he paused, others seem to manipulate spacetime locally. That was when the first message arrived. Not a hail, not a demand. A simple broadcast, transmitted on every known frequency simultaneously, translated automatically by Dominion systems despite using no recognized linguistic structure. The words appeared in the air between them. This region of space is now under human protection. Withdraw your fleets immediately. This is your only warning. Valercash felt something tighten in his chest. Human protection. A phrase from legend. You will respond, Ithrix urged. We cannot allow this insult to stand. Valercash nodded slowly. Prepare a reply. But before the order could be executed, space itself seemed to ripple. One of the human vessels, small by comparison to the titans behind it, slid forward, crossing millions of kilometers in an instant without generating any detectable jump signature. It stopped just outside Dominion weapons range. And then it fired. There was no dramatic beam, no blazing lance of energy. Space simply folded. One of the Ketheri escort cruisers vanished, not exploded, not torn apart. Gone. Sensors screamed in protest, unable to reconcile the sudden absence of mass, energy, and gravitational influence. Valercash stared, disbelief finally cracking his composure. What weapon was that? He demanded. Ithrix's voice was barely audible. Unknown. The human broadcast repeated, unchanged. Withdraw. The Dominion had never withdrawn from anything. Valercash clenched his claws. All fleets, he commanded, prepare to engage. Target the forward human vessel. Weapons charged across the Ketheri armada, brilliant arcs of plasma and coherent energy converging on the lone ship. The human vessel did not dodge. It did not raise shields. It simply absorbed the fire. Energy readings spiked wildly, then vanished as if swallowed. The ship's hull glowed faintly, patterns of light racing across its surface like flowing script. Then it fired again. This time, 3 Dominion ships disappeared. Panic rippled through the command deck. This is impossible, an officer whispered. No, Valercash said hoarsely. This is war. He had spent his life mastering the art of war. He understood overwhelming force, attrition, psychological dominance. He understood how civilizations broke. But this was something else. The human fleet advanced as one, not rushing, not hesitating. Smaller ships darted ahead, weaving through Dominion formations, unleashing weapons that sliced through shields as if they were suggestions rather than defenses. Larger vessels hung back, projecting fields that warped trajectories, causing Dominion fire to curve away or collapse into harmless radiation. Communications flooded the amphitheater. Outposts falling, fleets vanishing, systems going dark. And through it all, the human message repeated, calm and unwavering. Withdraw. Valercash felt the weight of history pressing down on him. He remembered, dimly, the old myths he had dismissed during his training. Stories of a species that vanished not because it was weak, but because it chose silence. A species that watched, learned, and waited. Why now? Ithrix asked, voice shaking. Why return now? As if in answer, a new transmission cut through the chaos. This one was different, narrowcast, directed specifically at the unending mandate. The projection shifted, resolving into a visual feed. A figure appeared. Bipedal, upright, soft-featured compared to the hard lines of most galactic species. two eyes facing forward, filled with something Valarkesh could not immediately name. The being wore a dark uniform, unadorned except for a simple emblem, a circle enclosing a stylized star. "I am Admiral Elena Ramirez of the United Human Fleets," the figure said. Her voice was steady, controlled. "You are currently engaged in hostile action within protected space." Valarkesh found his voice. "You claim protection over territory that does not belong to you." Ramirez tilted her head slightly. "It does now. You were absent for 8,000 cycles," Valarkesh said. "This region has known only our law." Ramirez's expression did not change, but something hardened in her eyes. "We know. We were watching." A chill ran through the amphitheater. "You watched civilizations fall," Valarkesh accused. "We watched you fall them," Ramirez corrected. "And we learned." The human fleet loomed behind her image, an armada born not of conquest, but of preparation. "We left the galactic stage because we were not ready," Ramirez continued. "Our technology was young, our unity fragile, we chose survival over pride." "And now?" Valarkesh demanded. "Now," she said, "we are done hiding." Valarkesh gestured at the destruction unfolding around them. "You cannot hold this territory. The Dominion spans thousands of systems." Ramirez nodded. "We know." Another ripple passed through space. More human ships emerged, hundreds more than thousands, filling the void behind the first wave. "They thought humans were legends," Ramirez said quietly. "We thought the galaxy deserved a chance to be better." Her gaze sharpened. "Withdraw your fleets, leave the Reach, stand down your expansion, or we will dismantle the Dominion ship by ship, system by system." Valarkesh realized, with a clarity that bordered on despair, that this was not a bluff. Humans did not posture. They acted. The Dominion's greatest strength, its certainty, had become its greatest weakness. For the first time in Ketheri history, a high strategist faced an enemy who did not seek territory, tribute, or glory. They sought balance. Valarkesh looked at the burning hologram of his collapsing campaign, at the impossible fleet that had emerged from myth, and made a decision that would echo through galactic history. "Order a full withdrawal," he said. The command deck froze. Ithrix stared at him. "High strategist, do it," Valarkesh snapped. "Now." One by one, Dominion ships disengaged, retreating toward hyperspace lanes that suddenly felt very small. The human fleet did not pursue. They simply watched. As the unending mandate turned away, Valarkesh allowed himself one final glance at the human armada. Legends, he realized, were not stories that faded with time. They were warnings. And the galaxy had ignored this one for far too long.